you doing on the bike path?
I know. My fault.
Man, this guy loves to annoy the Dutch.
In this video today, we're going to cover things that annoy the Dutch, which we have learned over a period of a couple of years that we've lived here.
And oh, by the way, when we're talking about these things, we're doing generalizations.
Yeah.
People are individuals. This may not apply to everyone you encounter. These are just things that we've noticed in general about people. So the thing we found out about the first time we visited the Netherlands before we moved here, and that is standing or walking in the bike lane. Our first day in the Netherlands, and I saw a nice little old shopping street and a pinkish red sidewalk, and I mistakenly thought it was a pedestrians only area. And there goes Loki again. And I was standing on the pinkish sidewalk looking up at the buildings, and my daughter quickly grabbed me and pulled me off right as a bike went going by, yelling "conquer" at me. So that was also the first time I heard "conquer." Actually, it's the only time I've heard "conquer" because I learned my lesson that day. But she said, "Mom, you're on the bike path." I'm like, "No, I'm on the sidewalk."
Yeah. Almost getting killed really sobers you up real quick.
Yeah.
So one thing I've learned is you've got to keep your head on a swivel because between the bikes, pedestrians, trams, you can really get hurt. As a matter of fact, that was one of the first wake-up calls that I had. Yeah, the bike paths are all over the place here in the Netherlands, so you learn very quickly.
And they are delineated, but you can tell a difference in the space.
Sometimes they're not. Sometimes they're not the red color that they normally are.
Right, so be aware that everywhere you go, they're not uniform. You can walk on them. For instance, we'll walk to the countryside, and you can walk on the paths then. But what we do is we walk facing traffic, facing the bike coming towards us, and then we step off of the bike path if bike is coming towards us so that we can see them and they can see us. Yeah. But, because there's no sidewalk. But in the cities, you have to be really aware of it. The bike paths, those are the main arteries, and a lot of people ride bikes. Yeah, there's cars, of course, too, but be aware of the bike paths. There's a lot of bikes. They have their own rules. Yeah, and sometimes even if they have a bell, they won't use it. So I'm going to teach this tourist or this person a lesson, but because they're on the bike path, I'm just going to miss them by this much. That'll teach them to stay off the bike path, and it works. So I've never seen that.
Yeah, it happened to me several times. Really? But I shouldn't be walking on the bike path either. So
yeah, what are you doing on the bike path?
I know. My fault.
Man, this guy loves to annoy the Dutch.
And also tourists.
Tourists.
Yeah.
Yes. A lot of tourists, especially in areas that are popular with tourism, such as Amsterdam. We rarely go to Amsterdam, but when we do, oh my gosh, we get so annoyed with the tourists who rent bikes for the day. And you can tell because the bike rental information will be on the bike or it'll be an OV fiets. They will not know any of the bike rules here. Bikes have rules, just like cars have rules. There's rights of way, there's signage, there's lights, there's everything that's set up for bikes as it would be for a car. And we've seen so many bicyclists on the sidewalk in Amsterdam, tourists. If you're going to come over here, you're planning to, live out your Dutch life for a day and rent a bike, do be aware of bike safety rules here. They're easy to look up. There's even a little book on how to bike in Amsterdam. Things like that, because there is some ground rules you should know before you get on a rental bike.
I know, even after living here for a while, how many times I've come this close to getting hit by a tourist.
And not just Amsterdam. Like we saw someone who was on an OV fiets. OV fiets is a bike you can rent at the train stations. Or they were riding their bike on the country road rather than the bike path that was just like a meter over, and they just didn't seem to notice there was actual bike path. And there are bike paths in the rural areas as well. So another way to annoy the Dutch is to assume that the Netherlands is Amsterdam or Amsterdam is the Netherlands. Amsterdam is one city in a country of 18 million people. It's not. It doesn't represent everybody and every experience you're going to have everywhere.
And we've actually heard people say Amsterdam's not part of the Netherlands. Right? We've had people in our comments. They would get angry at us for covering Amsterdam.
It's the same thing where people say New York City, nothing. The rest of the country's not like New York, and that's how the Dutch feel about Amsterdam. especially if they don't live in Amsterdam. So another thing is that some foreigners don't even realize the Netherlands is the country, or they'll say Amsterdam, thinking that's the country. We've heard tourists say that before. No, Amsterdam is a city in the country of the Netherlands.
And I'd like to know where the anger. I mean, it's most likely because it's become so inundated with tourism. It's every time we visit, it's just jammed with tourists. Maybe that's where the anger comes from.
I think some of the annoyance comes from that you have your own identity and you have your own provincial identity, and so it's not every experience is a shared experience in the Netherlands. So when people say, "Oh, I know all about the Netherlands. I went to Amsterdam," I say, "But did you go to Arnhem?
Yeah,
did you go to Maastricht?
Yeah,
it's different."
We've been all over. We've been fortunate enough to go to several different places, and we can now understand.
Still working on that.
We're working on that too, but we can still now we can understand where that comes from, because there's so many parts of the Netherlands that we just love going to, and they're nothing like Amsterdam.
The country is not Holland. A lot of people in the U.S. did not get that memo, but that's the other annoyance sort of tied to Amsterdam, is that Amsterdam's not the Netherlands, nor is it Holland. It's in Noord-Holland, but Holland is not the name of the country. I know I've heard a few Dutch people that have referred to the Netherlands as Holland. I think more as a shorthand, or because they're talking to two Americans, they assume we call it Holland. So also be aware of that. Some people may be sensitive to you getting the name of the country wrong, of course. So that's another possibility. One way to annoy the Dutch is to just accuse them of being rude. You're so rude. Oh my gosh. There's a difference between rudeness and directness. Rudeness does not consider the feelings of the person. Rudeness might be saying something with the intention of offending the person. Directness is completely different. Directness is about open communication. If we're discussing something and we're trying to come to an agreement, if we're discussing something and we want to understand each other better, the only way you can do that is with honesty. It doesn't mean brutal honesty. It just means honesty and bluntness, because the Dutch also don't like to waste time. Yeah. They hate how we beat around the bush a lot.
I think bluntness is a good way of putting it. And I've had that happen to me at work too, where people would just be blunt and, okay, time to do this now. Do this. Don't put that. Don't. And you kind of think that you're being, I don't know, lectured to, but it's a way of saving time, right?
Yeah. And that also leads us to, like I mentioned briefly a second ago, beating around the bush. Because of Dutch directness, they don't like you taking too long to say what you're going to say. We're guilty of this. It's something, first of all, we're getting older. It's harder for us to organize our thoughts, like when we're talking to you right now. It's this trying to find the nice roundabout way to just, I don't want to offend you, but the thing that maybe sometimes you think of doing. Yeah, don't do that. Just say, you know what, I don't like it when you do this. It kind of it screws up what we're trying to accomplish here. Yeah. That's what they want. Yeah. They don't want the iffy, wishy-washy walk around or talk arounds. Yeah. They don't like that. So that can annoy them. Just be efficient with your words, just as you are efficient with your time here.
Yeah, particularly in the workplace, because it's, there's no time to waste. And it's like, we're here for these specific hours. We got a job to do, and yes, there's conversation and there's having fun. But when there's something that needs to get done, don't beat around the bush. You just go right to it, and this is what you need to do. Bang, 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 and bang. So,
And think about it. I mean, if you ask someone a question, you're obviously ready for the answer.
They have a silent train, a silent car. When you get on the trains, I always go for the silent car because I kind of want to read, and I want to be, undisturbed and do some work or do some reading or whatever it is you want to do. It's not always silent, basically, what we've discovered. And many, many times we've gone on there and wanting to be in a silent train, and it's been packed with people, and there'll be one or two people that are just kind of, their voices just go above everybody else's.
So
And
sometimes you don't see that you're on a stilted train. So if you're running for your train, just check the windows. There'll be a sticker on there that'll say stilted train. In fact, I think I know who the main culprits are who don't know, because now it's also in English. I noticed that the last time I was on a train, it said stilted train, and then it said silent train.
Yeah, and when you call it to their attention, more often than not, people will say, "Oh, okay,
sorry."
oh, sorry," and they'll either be quiet or they'll leave the train.
Yeah, like if they wanted to talk to each other, they'll go somewhere else. So, but talking on the stilted train.
Yeah.
Big boo-boo.
Big boo-boo. Oh, and some people you can tell that they're over it. They're really used to going up to people and saying, "Be quiet," because they're on like a hair trigger. It's like as soon as you settle, and even if you whisper, they'll go, "Shh, shh." I've heard that so many times.
Oh, yeah, and there are people watching videos, too. I hate that when they watch a video with the sound on because they don't have headphones with them. And this one woman she was the one who was upset with us because we walked on and we were still in the station, and Mark was like, "Do you want there or there?" And she's like, "Shh, still to." You know, we weren't going to talk during the ride. We were just trying to figure out our seat. And we were like, "Oh, sorry." And then so she moved behind us because she thought, "Oh, they're American, they're going to be talking the whole time." And we weren't. We were just settling. And then she sat next to a guy who started playing a video with no headphones. So she moved again to further back.
Errors.
Yeah, it was terrible. And then when she moved back, a whole group of tourists got on at Schiphol and sat around her and were shouting and talking.
She looked miserable.
That poor woman.
What we've learned to do is text each other. So we could be sitting across from each other, and I'll just text her. You know, that way we can get our messages across, and we're not disturbing anybody. So anyway,
if you need to say anything, I kind of like the silence.
Yeah, I do too.
I like not having to talk to him all the time. I'm kidding. Sorry. Just being loud in general can annoy the Dutch. We Americans sometimes don't seem to know the volume of our voices. I don't know why. We're so emphatically boisterous. Yeah. It's just one of our cultural attributes, I guess. And it's not all Americans. I've known Americans that, you know, you ask them to speak up because you can hardly hear them when you're face to face with them. But
I guess we learned that when we go into a pub or a restaurant, and when we've lived here for a while, and suddenly you get the tourists come in, and they're loud.
Be aware that your natural volume may not be so natural over here.
I'm still loud. I try and...
He's a natural projector.
She always reminds me, shh, be quiet, especially late at night.
Yeah, I'll just do this, and he knows what that means.
Yeah, because we live in an apartment unit, and we don't know how thick the walls are, and I'm not aware of it half the time. So,
speaking of apartments, cut out any loud noise at 10 p.m. If you want to annoy the Dutch, be playing your TV loudly or music loudly after 10 p.m. They don't want loud music blasting from your car radio or anything else anyways, but after 10 p.m. it's a big no-no. It's actually the law. We had a neighbor at our previous apartment who, we had very thin walls there, extremely thin, like just having a normal conversation, we could hear each other in our apartments. And she loved to play very loud club music every night when she got home from work, just blaring it. So we got used to just wearing headphones to watch television or listen to music on our own so we wouldn't hear it. But every night, right at 10 p.m., she would cut it off.
Yeah.
So we never had a complaint about her. Inconsideration will annoy the Dutch. Another tendency Americans in particular have to watch out for is bragging. There's more of a sense of we're all on the same level. We should all sort of view each other as equals. Even your boss is your equal. So bragging in trying to stand out in some way, especially when it comes to money and property and flash, it's vulgar. It's rude. It's inconsiderate of other people's situations. And bragging will annoy the Dutch.
And very rarely, if ever, have we come across anybody that boasts. There's no boasting. Even if there's accomplishment, somebody accomplishes something at work, it's very even keel.
Well, the modesty, I mean, we're not talking about everyone just lives in like a white box. Like everyone's home is very comfortable. Everyone tries to have a gezellig life, but they're not competing with each other. It's not a rat race here. So it's more like I have a comfortable home because that makes me comfortable, and I'm not trying to look better or better off than my neighbors or coworkers or anything like that.
Yeah.
There's much more of an egalitarianism here. So bragging is stepping outside
Yeah.
of that. You're rocking the boat.
Yeah, it goes along with just being part of a community of people instead of trying to compete with them and get above them financially or in a material sense. People are just even keel, very modest, and just want to live their lives on an equal plane over here. So
People just say, you do what's comfortable for you.
yeah,
And I like that. It's liberating. So another thing that can annoy the Dutch is refusing something that's offered. And in this, we're going to talk about like birthday cake.
Yeah.
So over here, the person having the birthday offers the cake, rather than in the U.S. where, like, let's say you go to the office, it's your birthday, they present you with a cake. Here, it's like you're saying, it's a special day for me and I want to share that special day with you. So I'm bringing cake for everybody. So when you don't accept the cake, and I found this out, and you might have a good reason, and just say, well, I can't for medical reasons or something like that. And they go, oh, okay. But I was raised by a mother who wanted us to always refuse things that were offered because she didn't want to put a person out, or she didn't want to take something they might enjoy for themselves later. And so I'm in the auto habit of saying, no, thank you. And so that, come back. So that happened when I was in my Dutch class and had a grandchild, and she brought in cookies for everybody. And I was like, oh, no. With my thought being, oh, she'll have more to take home to her other grandchildren to have later. But to her, it was like, you don't want to celebrate the birth of my grandchild? You don't want to participate in the joy I'm feeling right now? And I was like, oh my gosh, no, I didn't mean it like that.
in my case, also, as many of you know from our previous videos, I'm not a cake person, but having worked with several people over the course of a year that I've been in this one job, not only do they bring in cake for birthdays, they bring in cake for promotions, or if somebody has passed some kind of an exam to get promoted, they'll bring in cake. And they turn around and they'll offer a slice of cake to me, and my immediate reaction is, oh no, I can't. And I tell you, the first time I refused, it was like daggers. They looked at me like, you're not going to accept this? And I thought I did something wrong. It's the first time that I ever got that reaction. And I had to come up with something quickly. I just said, well, my stomach, or I'm not even sure what I said. But they were like, oh, even with that, it was, this massive disappointment of not accepting the cake, the gift. So I learned my lesson. So even now when I'm at work and somebody brings in cake, I'm one of the first to go up and just take a few bites and then, kind of slink off. And I won't have much of it, but it is a wonderful custom.
And I mean, just like how when you have a birthday, everyone is congratulated.
Yeah.
When you're having people over to your house for your birthday, everyone who comes to the door congratulates each other, and then they come in and they all congratulate each other. Gefeliciteerd.
Yeah.
So it's this sense of celebrations are for the community. The celebrations are to be shared by everyone. So that's the spirit in which things are given and how they should be received.
Yeah. The greeting, hoe gaat het, or how are you? We've discovered that it's a way of greeting people in the United States. We would just say, hey, how are you? It's just a natural.
It's like hello.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like saying hello there. It's not that there's no sincerity behind it, but it's just a greeting.
Yeah, it's a greeting. It's hello. And over here, we've learned, and I've learned this the hard way at work, that people do take it seriously. It's not just hello.
It's an actual question.
Yeah, how are you?
Yeah.
So I've had people kind of look at me like deer in the headlights. Like, oh, I would wonder why. Thinking about how you are and sharing personal information. And
and like, do I know this person well enough to tell them what's up with me? Why are they asking me a personal question like
totally,
that? I don't know who they are.
Not intentional.
You got called out on it at work.
I got called out on it at work. So basically, I still do. To the same, my boss. I still want to go by. I say, how you doing? And as soon as I say it, I'm, oh no.
Because he actually talked to you about that.
I'll turn around and he'll be smiling at me now. But it's like I'm learning to just say hello. That's the point. But
he did question you about it. I mean, let's dive a little deeper in this. He said that was something that you asked someone that you have a good relationship with, right? And you don't.
He did, and I actually had to sit down, and we were laughing about it. That's the one difference here in the Netherlands, learning to say hello instead of that greeting.
Now they know that Americans have this propensity to say how are you. They get it. And
Hey, how
so
you
a lot of
doing?
times
How you doing?
they'll just say hello back to you. Some people even have told us that they consider it an insincerity on the part of Americans that they do ask questions without wanting an answer.
Yeah.
So it's just something to be aware of. So thanks again for joining us for another Culture Shock Talk. These are videos that we're doing monthly. Let us know in the comments what we got wrong, if any of these things you would find annoying.
A lot of this is generalized, so not everybody acts this way. It's just things that we have discovered since we've moved here. So we would love to hear from you folks about if we missed anything, if there's other things that annoy the Dutch. Please let us know.
Thanks again. And there's a new thing that YouTube has called Hype. If you'd like to hype this video, it really helps the video to get out there and helps the channel out a lot. And we really appreciate it. But have a great day.
Thanks for sticking around, folks. We really appreciate it.
How are you? How are you today?
Thanks, folks.
Bye.
Take care.
Doei.